Hello and welcome to another video in the series regarding effects in the 5th edition rule set for Fantasy Grounds. In all the previous videos we have been concentrating on one particular radial menu option here, the add effect, and in this video we're going to cover the other three, add cast, add damage and add heal. So we've set up a power group here and we've called it consumables, and what we're going to do is use these items here as examples to show you how to use casts, heals and damages. So Hamish's power group is set up as consumables, and we can add in the first of these. We'll just add them in first of all. You notice that when you create your first line, you've got this little icon here. This will be different if you're using the standard theme. This is the 5e theme. But if you click on the little dragon head here, this opens up a new spell or ability dialog, which is blank. Now unfortunately you can't drag and drop items into the actions tab like you can for racial traits and for class abilities. So there is no description if you click on these little icons. So let's show you how you can do this. If we open up the acid vial here and click unlock, we can then select the text here and then just copy and paste it into here. And if we give this a name and close it up, we'll see that the acid vial has gone in here into the description. And now when we click on the little dragon icon, it gives us a description of our acid vial. So let's do that for the next two. So we want another line within this consumables power group. So if we click the edit list button again, we get this little green add item. So we can go ahead and create another one. Finish editing list to show us the little red dragon head. Open this up, open up our potion of fire breath, unlock it, and just select the text that we want. Copy, paste, and give it a name. And now we've got our potion of fire breath. So let's quickly do the same thing again for our potion of healing. Just select the text again, copy and paste. And there we have it. So we now have our three consumable items into our power group. And at the moment, of course, we haven't created any effects for these. These are just simply sitting there. So let's take the easiest one first, perhaps. Let's do the potion of healing. So we want to create an effect for the potion of healing. If we open it up, we can see that we regain 2d4 plus 2 hit points when we drink the potion. So we right click over the consumables line or over the potion of healing line. We go to our add action, and this time we're going to select the add heal. Now this gives us a different icon over here on the left hand side. We previously used to seeing the running man icon, but this one is giving us now a heal icon, which tells us that this is going to be a heal effect. We click on the little magnifying glass as usual to get the heal dialog. If we have a look at this, we can see that there is targeting as ever, and the targets are, as usual, can be self or targets. And under here we've got the type, and the options here are either hit points or temporary hit points. So in this case it's going to be hit points, so we'll leave it as it is. And the line below here, this actually is the effect for the heal. and we know that there's going to be 2d4, so we can enter this in here. So there's two ways we can do it. We can click this little edit list button, and we can get our green button and add a new line. Or the rather easier way is simply to grab a d4, drag it over, right click on it to add another d4, and then drop it onto the line, and it'll automatically add the d4 into there. We can see now that we've got some more options. We've got the option to add in a stat bonus, and if we click through these, we can get the various stat bonuses. So if we leave that at strength, then this heal's going to do 2d4 plus whatever strength bonus the character has. But in this case, we don't want any of these stat bonuses. We can see, by the way, that it goes through to proficiency level, and then it goes through all the different classes as well. So there's multiple options for this one. But we want it to be blank because we don't get any kind of benefit from our statistics or level or anything like that. But we do know from the potion of healing that we get a +2. So in this bonus box here, click on that, and then just add in our bonus of 2. So when we close this, we see now that our heal is 2d4 plus 2. So let's see this one in action then. Let's get the combat tracker going. We're going to give Hamish some wounds here. He's got wounds already. And if we drag our heal onto Hamish, we can see that the dice rolled, and we recovered some wounds. Okay, so that's it for the potion of healing. So let's move on to the acid vial here. If we click on our description, we can see that the acid vial is a ranged attack against the creature, and that the ranged attack is treated as an improvised weapon, and on a hit the target takes 2d6 acid damage. So let's right click over the appropriate line, go to add action, and this time we're going to add a cast. This brings up our line here showing the cast, attack or save options. If this was an attack, we can click on this icon here to make the attack, or this one to make a save, or we can click on this one to make the whole thing. We need to fill in some details, of course, so let's get the dialogue up. And we can see we've got 3 sections here. We've got an attack section, a save, and an on save. So the one that we're concerned with here is going to be the attack action, and the first thing is the type. And if we click on here, we can cycle through the 2 options, which are ranged or melee. And in this case, we want it to be a ranged attack. Now this option here, if we find this is we can see this is set to group attack. We can now click on this. It can be set to ability, or it can be a fixed ranged attack. So in this case, we wanted to set it to ability. Now your thrown ability is usually dedicated to dexterity. And so if we click on this box here, the stat box, and go through until we get dexterity, this will be feeding now, the attack here will be feeding off Vari's dexterity bonus. Now this is to be treated as an improvised weapon, as we can see from the description here. So normally the character wouldn't get their proficiency bonus if they're using an improvised weapon. However, the Dungeon Master can rule that they might get the proficiency bonus if the improvised weapon is similar to a normal weapon. But let's suppose in this instance that Vari's got no proficiency with any kind of thrown weapons. So if we click on the star here, that will remove the proficiency bonus from her ranged attack in this particular instance. We also have a box here into which we can put any kind of bonus that she might get for whatever reason. So that's it. We've done the attack part of the equation here, so we can close that dialogue. But we're not finished yet, because we need to now consider the damage aspect. So we are going to right click again on the same line, go to add action, and this time we're going to select to add damage. And you can see that the effect has been added in below the acid vial here. So this effect is related to the acid vial, not to any of the others that are in the consumables power group. It's specific to the acid damage one. And once again, we've got a new icon here. This is the damage icon. We've got our line into which the effect will appear, and we've got our little magnifying glass which we can open up the dialog. This is a very straightforward dialog. There's nothing here. Again, we can click on this edit list button and then the green button to add a new line, or we can simply do what we did before, which is to pick up a dice, in this case a d6, right click and drop it onto the line. And again, this is very similar to the heal. We've got our dice, 2d6 here. We can add in a stat bonus to that, or we can add in a bonus for whatever else we have, or we might have a bonus for. And then we've got the type. So in this instance, we don't get any kind of bonuses. It's not based on any statistics, but we do need to tell Fantasy Grounds about the damage type, and in this case, it's acid, all in lowercase. And we can close that, and we now see our complete effect. We've got our acid vial here, we've got our ranged attack, and we've got the damage. So if in combat Vari were to attack the orc number 1 here, once she's selected her target, she can then click on the cast button. And as you can see, she's made a ranged attack using the acid vial. It's given her her +2 bonus, and she has missed in this instance. However, if we'd hit, we can then just simply click on the damage, and the damage will get rolled, and the orc will take 2d6 acid damage. We could equally have just clicked this sword icon here to make the attack. We didn't need to make the cast, and that works just in the same way. You can see that a ranged attack has been made using the acid vial against the orc. So that now leaves us with the potion of fire breath. So if we have a look at that, we can see that we drink the potion, that it's we make a target. The target must make a dexterity 13 saving throw, and it takes 4d6 fire damage on a failed save, or half as much on a successful one. And additionally, the effect ends if we exhale 3 times or when 1 hour is passed. So we've got to set up effects to take account of all of that. So let's get cracking, and we will right click again, add action, and we are going to add another cast to this one and open up the dialog that we saw before. And this time, instead of using the attack, we're going to look at the save, because there's no attack roll necessary for this. The target just needs to make a saving throw. So the first box is the type, and if we click on that, we go through the various types, and in this case we want a dexterity save. Now the base here, we can click as group DC again, or we can have 8 plus ability plus the stat plus proficiency, etc. Or we can have a fixed. Now in this case, this is the one we want, because the description of the potion tells us that the creature must make a DC 13 dexterity saving throw. So this isn't based on the character's dexterity or any other ability that they might have. It's a straightforward fixed saving throw. So we type in 13. Now you'll notice that below here there's a little tick box for magic. If this was going to be a magic effect, then we would tick this, and if the target of this attack had resistance to magic, then it would automatically get advantage on a saving throw in this case. But we don't You could decide if you wanted to that this was a magical attack and click that box, or you can leave it as it is and just leave it as fire damage. Now the other thing whilst we're on this box that we need to consider is that the target can take only half damage if it succeeds on its saving throw, and this is where the on save section comes in. We have only two options. We've got blank or half on success, and in this case we want the half on success. If we close that now, we can see that our cast has gone in there. It's gone in with a save. It's got a dexterity DC 13 save, and the H in brackets shows that the damage will be halved on a successful save. So that's the first part of the effects that we need for this one. So we need another one now to handle the damage. So add action, and then we add damage. We open up the damage dialog, and we know that this is going to be 4d6 fire damage, so let's drag in a d6, click 3 times and drop in there. We don't have any stat or bonus, and we know that the type is going to be fire, and that's it. So now we have our cast, and now we have our damage. But another part of this fire breath potion is that it has a finite usage. It lasts for 1 hour. So we can do that by right clicking again, add action, and this time back to our old favorite add effect. Open up the dialog, and we're just going to call this fire breath. And that's it. It's not going to be anything else, and we're going to give it a duration of 60 minutes, and the targeting will be self. And that's it. Let's see this in operation before we go any further. Hamish has already got Orc 1 targeted, so he's decided to use his potion of fire breath, so he can click either the cast or the save button. So let's click the save button. You can see that the Orc has made a successful save, and we can now apply the damage. And the damage went through, and the Orc only took half damage from the fire since he was successful in his saving throw. So this leaves us with the final effect there that we created here, and this simply gets placed on Hamish, and you can see that all it's done is added an effect of fire breath, which Fantasy Grounds it's meaningless as far as Fantasy Grounds is concerned, but all we're interested in is the counter here, which has gone into 600, because Fantasy Grounds has calculated 60 minutes as 600 rounds, and we can see now that this is starting to count down as we move through the combat tracker. So this really is just a counter, so that we know that how long this potion is going to last on Hamish. But there is one other thing that we haven't covered, and that is that Hamish only gets 3 uses of this fire breath potion. That once he's drunk it, he needs to use these 3 minutes or 3 uses of it within the 1 hour time period. So fair enough, if this counts down and he hasn't used them all, then that's it. So how we calculate, or how we get Fantasy Grounds to keep a track of these things, is we look down at the mode here, and it's set at standard at the moment, but if we click on this and we get into preparation mode, and here in this area here we can set a limit to any of the effects that we've set up, or any of the items or whatever we've set up here. So in this potion of fire breath, we know that he gets to have 3 uses of it, so let's type 3 into the editable box there. And in this box here we've got, we can cycle through, we've got daily, rest, once, and back to daily. Daily as it suggests, is per day. As far as Fantasy Grounds understands this, it means a long rest, essentially. Rest means a short rest, and once means exactly that. It's a one-off. So what we've done now is we've set this to 3 times once. If we now come back out of preparation mode into combat mode, we can see that there are 3 little circles here, and that is how we would work out how many uses of his potion of fire breath Hamish has left. Once he's used it the first time, he just simply ticks it off and uses it again. And once he's used the third of his potion of fire breath uses, as you can see, it completely disappears from the combat tracker. From the actions tab. So this is a visual reminder that the player no longer has his potion of fire breath has been used up. We would then have to manually delete the effect from here if there was still some part of the counter left remaining. We can get this back if we click into standard mode. We can see that the ticks are back, and we can then untick, and if we go back into combat mode, we can see that our potion of fire breath has come back. Now we can do this for all the other ones as well, because it may not be, well, it's unlikely that Hamish is going to have unlimited acid vials and potions of healing. So we can also tell Fantasy Grounds that he's maybe got 2 acid vials, and let's say he's only got 1 potion of healing. So all of these can be set independently. And when we go into combat mode, we can see the little check boxes. And once Hamish has devoured his potion of healing, if we click on it, it will disappear. And if we go back into standard, if he happens upon another potion of healing, he can untick it, and he will get it back. So this is how we would monitor the resources that a player character might have if these are consumables, as this title suggests. Okay, that's it for the video, and I think also for the series, but I will do more videos if there are requests for certain aspects, or any aspects that have been missed, or anything that anybody thinks would be valuable. So do leave comments either here or in the Fantasy Grounds forums. And if you have made it this far, then thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you on the next video, whatever that might be and whenever that might be. Cheers for now.